Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac. At the end of the last episode, we finished up World 5, the factory area. And in this episode, we are taking on the last area of the game. This is the Boss Mansion area, and this is the final 3 levels that lead up to Toc-Man's lair, which sits just inside of this giant, awesome-looking, badass mansion. So it is now time, before we take on that, to go ahead and take on 6-1 Ghostly Garden. Alright, so this is going to be the first of course, 3 levels before we take on the boss, like I just mentioned. And as you can see, this theme is going to be more of a spooky theme, since we are literally, I guess, essentially just traveling. These levels are basically taking place just outside of Toc-Man's mansion. So I guess it's fitting to make it more of kind of a spooky, kind of haunted castle type of feel for these levels. So, I like it. Again, I think some of the better level themes we have already passed, but again, this one being the final one, it makes sense to make it a little creepy and kind of nice little build up until we get up to that final boss, since we're getting very, very close to that. But for now, we're just going to focus on gathering the rest of our collectibles. So 3 more levels, so not much more left to do in the game. But of course, the main concept, of course, is going to continue on into this final area, where we have, of course, the Pac-Man letters to collect, as well as the fruits to open up these various doors. And of course, it wouldn't be a regular level of Pac-Man World if we weren't able to gobble up some ghostly friends there. So and as you notice, the ghosts in this area are all wearing nice little cute little witchy looking hats, so kind of cool, again keeping with the themes and everything like that. But these levels I remember to be a lot more heavy in length, so we are going to see probably the longest levels of the entire game. But again, it's the final area, so again, some things you probably should expect, but especially if you're comparing them to like the first few areas of the game, these are very, very long levels. So tons of backtracking involved in this section, of course. So that's another thing that, I guess if you are not familiar with it by now, this is definitely going to put your backtracking skills to the test in this final area. So but enough of my rambling on about what to expect. We're gonna talk about kind of what we're doing now and kind of what's coming up here, kind of in front of us. So as you can see, these coffins are kind of levitating off of the ground here. They're kind of levitating in midair. Of course, I say that when I die, so I guess I'm going to go into one of them. But I think these are kind of a creative little design for some floating platforms, since we're in a haunted area. Although I don't know what's more creepy, the fact that just some floating corpse, that are of course, I would think are in those coffins, or there's several of them. So we're not only are we jumping on top of some things that are holding some dead people, but they are kind of creepy looking. Just the fact that they can levitate and they're not even in the ground. I don't know which one's creepy, the fact that we can do that, or the fact that they are, again, not in the ground, which means that the person's body is just kind of levitating in the air. Kind of creepy, but it's alright, because we are now taking on the first maze of World 6. So this one is a little bit more complicated. We have some spinning stone heads that are going to be spitting out some fire, so we want to make sure that we avoid those as we make our way around the maze. Of course, picking up some power pellets is recommended, but again, like typically, I would say, in typical fashion, I would say that you do not want to pick them up all at the same time. You want to kind of space them out a little bit. That way you have a little bit of an advantage to take out some ghosts or to get through some obstacles at the same time, leaving you with enough to finish up the maze. So, but now we're going to see if we can kind of finish this up, and I hope I don't fail these mazes, because I've made it pretty... I've made it pretty far and have done pretty well so far, with the exception of only one maze I've actually had to redo in this entire playthrough. So I'm hoping I don't have to actually re-record another failed maze section. That would not be great. But you never know, things happen, so let's see how it shakes out this time around. I'm pretty confident I am going to get the rest of these Pac Dots. These ghosts are kind of, you know, trying to intimidate me with their little running around and changing routes and everything, but I think I can do this. Or not. I was wrong. Sometimes it's okay to admit when you're wrong, but it looks like we only had a couple of Pac Dots left, so we went ahead and cleared the maze anyways. So thankfully I was able to do that without taking my last hit of life there. Alright, so now that we have cleared that, we're going to continue on with the rest of this level. And yeah, all of that work, and we only have one Pac-Man letter, so that's kind of, I guess, the going to be the reoccurring theme in this final area. A lot of work for very little. So yeah, we have quite a bit of level to go, obviously. These bats that are carrying these little bombs are pretty easy to avoid. You just kind of want to be careful when you're jumping because they are a little high in the air. Letter A actually can be found down there on those blue coffins that disappear once you step on them. But yeah, those bats can be, again, a little easy to avoid, or kind of easy to avoid, but again, can be a little bit troublesome when you're making jumps, and if they happen to be flying you know, in a certain direction, you're probably not going to make that jump correctly if you're trying to land on a platform that has a bat flying right above it, because it can actually mess up your rhythm. And I'm just kind of pointing that out because I've done that a few times, but again, for the most part, you kind of have to expect a little bit of an increase in difficulty of some of the new enemies that we are facing in this world. And as you saw, the skeletons with little top hats, those are kind of a cute design for an enemy in the final area, so I wanted to kind of point that out as well. Now that we have the peach, we'll go ahead and use it to unlock this door here, and that's going to give us another trail of Pac Dots as well as a power pellet, so we can take care of these ghosts that are kind of wandering about up here in this area here. So only two right there, not too bad. We're making it here. Go ahead and step on some more corpses, I guess, as they're floating in the air, waiting for us to step on them. And yeah, again, I didn't really point too much about, or didn't really talk too much about those blue coffins. And again, the main difference there is they are temporary, so they will respawn after a little bit of time. But once you have stepped on them, you want to move pretty fast because they are going to disappear within seconds after you actually land on them. And that will include butt bouncing as well. So if you simply just butt bounce or use one of those blue coffins as like a bouncing platform and don't actually walk on it, it will still disappear. So any kind of a movement on it will cause it to disappear after a few seconds. But we went actually down that way to grab the letter C, so we are halfway done with our letters. So now it's time to actually take this ramp, and that's going to send us over in this section over here. And this is actually where we want to go to progress. So again, just kind of keeping an eye out for the remaining letters, and then I believe we still have some fruits to get as well for some doors coming up very soon. And this little part right here, I really like how this looks in scale. It's kind of cool because you get kind of a great view of this entire level, or at least most of it. Like I can see all the way back there by that moon. All right, just wanted to kind of save some time instead of waiting on that coffin. Just wanted to kind of quickly cut that out so we can kind of get back to the action here. But yeah, I love how this level looks in scale. You can kind of see a lot of different sections at once, and I don't think they really did that in any of the other previous sections, and that's something I really like how they did that in this level. Like you can see all the way back there in the background where that purple moon was, in the same shot as these coffins that are all the way at the front, like the opposite end of the map. So I kind of like how they allow you to kind of get quite a bit of a glance of the entire place in one, or most of the level in one little perspective there. That's kind of cool. 3 skeleton guys will make fine work of them. They luckily are pretty easy to take out with the butt bounce, so I definitely recommend that for those guys. Get up these tall hills. You want to definitely try rev rolling up these. You can butt bounce up some of them as well if you do that extended bounce, where you just essentially keep butt bouncing, and then Pac-Man will eventually kind of bounce a little faster and higher. I think that's another good strategy to get up there, but rev rolling will work, I believe, for most of these hills. So we just want to wait for this to run out so we can go ahead and open up this door, which holds the letter M. So we are making fine work of the letters in this section. And now it's time to hit the green button. And that's gonna go ahead and send this coffin our way, so that way we can travel in this direction and actually use the remaining coffins to get over into this next set of platforms right here. So this is kind of the part where there's like a bunch of land kind of broken up. So this guy's yard is pretty disastrous. Like, who knows, you know, who wants a yard that's like all broken up in chunks of land like this? Like, I know this is obviously exaggerating for like the difficulty of a final level, but I don't know. Alright, so now that we have made it to the top again, waiting on the large amount of time it takes for those coffins to come back down. I feel like they could move a little bit faster, but again, that would be me kind of griping over some little things. So overall, this final area looks amazing. I don't want to gripe on it too much because it kind of takes away from all of the positives about it. So I do like even the extra detail of those little like those flowery and like leaf arrangements on like the sides of like the cliffs. Even like it looks kind of cool. And even like that moon when we saw, like even like you can see out there like in the background all those little looks like a canyon type of area, or a canyon type of area. And that purple moon that we saw that had Toc-Man's face kind of on it was amazing. I didn't really point that out in the very beginning of the level, but if you're at the very beginning of the level, definitely take some time to check that out, because I think that looks so cool and is one of the most visually appealing parts of this game, I would say, definitely. Alright, so it looks like we have made it to the top of this very, very, very steep hill. We want to make sure that we do not fall off these coffins, as they are, I guess, kind of eviscerating there into the abyss. It's kind of creepy. I do like that little effect, though. It's kind of adds, again, that little horror factor to it. And like I mentioned before, I am a horror junkie, mainly with movies, but I do like it when they definitely appreciate it when they have a horror aspect in certain video games. So I don't really want to talk too much about that, since it kind of gets a little bit too off topic with what we're doing here, but just want to point that out. I just love that aspect and that category of really any genre when it comes to entertainment. So, but as you can see, the Toc-Man statue sits right on top of this nice little part of the castle or mansion, wherever we are. I'm not quite sure. But it is now time to take on the first bonus stage of the final area. As you can see, we are now taking on a little bit of a different setup here. So we have, of course, those temporary coffins. So this is going to make things a little bit hectic, as you are essentially on a timer the moment you get on any of these coffins, like we've already seen before in the first level. But this time around, you want to make sure you collect as many of the, of course, as many of the fruits that pop out of these little holes as you can, before, of course, those coffins disappear and I would fall down there. Luckily, they do give you these little bounce pads down here to get yourself back up to the top. You just want to make sure you move pretty quick once you fall off, because, of course, you're still on a timer, just like with any bonus stage. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get this on the first level here. I think we're going to fail this first bonus stage, unfortunately. Yeah, it can be. Once you fall off like twice, it can be hard to kind of catch back up. And wow, I was 2 off. That was very close. But we're going to try to nail it in either the next one, or we have another level after that. So 4 additional 1-ups, not too bad. 655,000, so we are just a little over 100,000 shy of that specific criteria that we need to meet to get 100%, but we're probably not going to get it. Creepy Catacombs is now unlocked, so that is going to be level 6-2. And I say we just jump right into it, because we have got everything we need in 6-1, and I'm pretty eager to get this party started and to kind of get to the end here. We're not going to let Toc-Man get away with what he's done. He's caused too much havoc for us to just kind of quit this easy, so here we go. So yeah, so this time we are actually, I guess, technically inside of the mansion. Right, I guess outside and inside at the same time, because you can kind of see there's no wall there, but that's kind of with every level. But yeah, we're basically inside the mansion. So we are essentially ascending up these, you know, I guess inner hills. They're not really stairs. I don't call these stairs. This is just like a giant indoor hill. But yeah, I guess we're ascending through the mansion to get to Toc-Man at this point. So Even though it looks like we're pretty close to him, we're not quite there yet. We still have another level after this one, of course, and then he's, you know, he is our next priority. So, but now we're just kind of continuing on, and again, I do want to take some time to kind of say how much I do like this level as well. This final area, again, I think it's done visually really well. I just feel like they could have added maybe a little extra challenge, like having the length of this area take a lot longer. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be challenging. I think they could have added maybe some mini bosses, you know, that you would finish at the end of each level or something like that. But again, don't want to point out too many negatives, you know, that I see in this where it would kind of outweigh the positives, because there definitely are far more positives of this final area than there are negatives. Like I'm kind of making it seem like that, you know, there are. So, but anyways, enough of my rambling on. Here I go again. We're going to see if we can get through a 6-2 here. So yeah, we see kind of the return of the theme we saw before. We have the coffins that go away. So we're going to see, of course, a lot more of that moving forward. Before I hit that checkpoint over there, I actually missed the letter P. Alright, so now that we have gotten the letter P, we're going to make our way back to the checkpoint, and this time hit it. That way we don't have to backtrack nearly as far back if we somehow die or forget things. I just wanted to get that letter P before I hit that checkpoint for that reason. And that's something that's kind of, I don't know if I talked about that, where the hitting the checkpoint too early, or some of the checkpoints too early, can kind of screw you over if you have, you know, by chance missed, you know, some collectibles in like the earlier parts of the stage. Because if you die, but then you try to go back then die, you're going to go back to like the next checkpoint, so you're essentially getting further away. Again, kind of a small gripe, but I always saw that as kind of like a con with the checkpoints, but because not everything is in a linear fashion where you could find a checkpoint, you know, before you found, you know, maybe some of the collectibles that you may have passed over that were maybe on like the side of a wall or something, or like in the bottom of a wall, like this one kind of is. But, you know, obviously we needed a specific fruit in order to activate that. So but now we're going to continue on this way, and we have a little bit more of a kind of following, it kind of feels like an Indiana Jones mixed with like, I don't know, like Star Wars type of eyes. We have these like creepy stone heads that are breathing fire. So again, kind of still following that same theme that we've seen in the last two areas, where we are avoiding objects that are blasting some sort of you know, damaging liquid or steam or fire or something like that. So, but now we're moving on to a level 6-2's maze, and this is probably my favorite maze of this area. So as you can see, things have gotten pretty dark, so we're kind of in the dark here, and the only light that we have is actually from Pac-Man's body, which I think is kind of cool. Of course the Pac dots are pretty bright and they light up the way, and of course we have those lovely stone heads that are shooting flamethrowers at us, like we just saw in the beginning of 6-2. So lots of good stuff to see here. I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm okay with the flamethrowers being shot at my head, but again, I love the fact that we are essentially in like a very darkened maze, and it just feels like an extra, again, just adding an extra creepy factor, you know, knowing that we're in the final section, or the final world here. Alright, so after dying so many times, I'm going to kind of show my final little route here to pick up the rest of these Pac dots. As you can see, I actually did not have to redo that. I just wanted to kind of cut out all the failures, kind of get to the good stuff there. But yeah, so that is the second maze cleared. So we only have one more maze in the entire game. That seems surreal to me, but you know what? It is a reality. So we're going to just face the facts and hold in the tears. And I don't know. I'm talking out of my butt right now, so I'm not quite sure what I'm saying sometimes, but sometimes it just kind of comes out. So we have to kind of put it out there. So I want to kind of avoid these things. You want to make sure they are not coming down at the wrong time, because as you see, if that flamethrower is being shot out as the thing is already up, you want to make sure you don't get hit. Even though I don't know how I survived that. I thought I was for sure going to get hit by that fire. But we have more lovely spiders to kind of fall down here. Actually, I think that was the first one we've seen. I can't remember. Have we? I feel like we've seen those before in the game. Maybe that's just my memory not doing so good. So, but anyways, yeah. Not only do we have bats in the air, but we have spiders to freaking shoot down on their webs. Kind of creepy, but I have to say, in real life, I've kind of grown to really like spiders. I think they're very beneficial. even just like spiders that you find like in your house that just are like chilling in like a corner, they're very beneficial for preventing diseases because they can eat pretty much every other bug or you know, I guess harmful pests that you would find in your house, like flies or, you know, nasty creatures or anything that might stumble in your house. They're pretty cool. All right, so enough rambling on about spiders. There was nothing good over that way. It was just an extra piece of health, not that big a deal. But now we're gonna take a elevator on this side, and as you can see, we have kind of a similar theme to, I believe that was actually way back in the, I think it was a space area where we had to kind of maneuver through some lasers on the elevator. As you can see, we did the same thing there. So they're kind of bringing back, I guess, the same elements we've seen before, but I guess every area kind of has something that we've seen in a previous one. So it kind of, you know, it kind of follows suit. But now we're moving right along. As you can see, there's a gate right there that can actually allow us to access a lot more behind it. All right, so I actually want to go down here. I got a little bit confused up there because again, these levels are much longer than anything we've seen. So it does take me sometimes a little bit of time to remember where I'm going, and I sometimes will pass over things. It's happened before, and you know, it's not unusual if it happens again. So, or happens more than that, I would say. So I want to carefully collect all these Pac dots since they're down here, and we got that one collectible that we needed in order to access that gate. And that's going to allow us to access a lot more behind it. So we need to go up there and get on in there. So as you see, there's some bookshelves right here. But once you open up that gate and hit that switch, go ahead and take these ghosts out first because we have to. They're here, why not? All right, very nice. But now, as you can see, we are behind the bookshelves, and there's more stuff for us to find back here. There's actually a hidden slot medal back there. They kind of hide that pretty geniusly, but on this side is a key, and that's going to unlock the cage to the very final family Pac member that's hidden in this world, which is Pac-Man's wife, Mrs. Pac-Man. So, Miss Pac-Man, I think, is actually her official title, but don't want to get ahead of myself. We're first going to have to do a few things before we get to her, and I believe she doesn't come up until 6-3 if I remember correctly, so I don't believe she's even in this level at all. But as you can see, we have a ton of these guys to avoid. If you notice, if you get on top of their heads, you can entirely and completely avoid their flamethrower attack. So, but once you do have the metal dot, as you can see, you're invulnerable like you are with everything else. You can just run right through them freely. And not worry about a thing. And the letter M is actually behind that door, so we need to go ahead and find the fruit that will open that. We already have the key, and we have a lot of other stuff, so we're actually getting pretty close to the end of this level. So again, a lot more in length, so especially compared to the beginning of the game, but we're actually doing pretty well. I thought I would actually do a little bit worse than this. I missed a couple of things and had to kind of go back, but overall not too bad. And now that we have the peach, we can open up that gate to get the letter M, and we're going to head back over in this direction. And once we get back to this elevator, we want to go ahead and cross this path here with the several stone heads shooting flames at us. As you can see, our second letter A is going to be behind that door that needs a bell, so we definitely want to keep an eye out for that. More Pac dots to find. We're going to do that trick that I said earlier about jumping on their heads to avoid the flames, and if you can believe it, the bell is actually located in that last stone head, which will give us the letter A. Alright, so using the elevators another time, we're going to make our way up in this direction, and we're going to actually ascend above these flame-breathing stone heads. And we will now be at the top of this section here. Looks like we have some more skeleton guys to take care of, and we have a door with the last Pac-Man letter that's going to require an apple, so we need to go ahead and find that. And conveniently, it's just given to us right there, so kind of cool how they kind of give that one to us. I'm not going to complain. Let me bust that thing open and grab my letter, because I believe we are about at the end here. So we get up this bounce pad, and well, what do you know, we're at the very top of the castle. Very cool little imagery there. Creepy backdrop, but it's now time to enter bonus stage number 2 of Boss Mansion area. All right, so we're gonna give this another go, and we're gonna see how things flow. All right, I'm horrible at rhyming. I should never do anything like that ever again. I'm sorry. But we have some fruits we need to get, so we're gonna try to do that now. And I'm gonna try my best not to fall off at all this time, but I, like with many things, can't guarantee that fact, as I just stumbled right there. Of course, it would fall once. But we're still in it. We have 20 seconds. We only have a few fruit left to find. I would fall again. There's only 3 more. I think I can actually do this one. And there they go. And I did not mean to do that. That sucks, because that can happen when you're in midair. I didn't mean to do an accidental butt bounce. Give me that. 1 more. Can we get it? Oh, come on. No, I'm sorry. 2 more. My gosh. I don't know how to count. And it looks like we're not going to do it. So that is 2 losses in a row for the bonus stages. Hopefully we get the final one. 4 additional 1-ups once again. And we are just under 700,000. So we're going to see. This is going to be close. It's going to actually be interesting if I actually hit that number. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit the 765. But now we have unlocked Grave Danger. Level 6-3. This is the final level of the game. So next time on Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac, we are going to take on the very final level of the game and the final boss, Toc-Man himself. Until then, I will see you later.